Hello friends, welcome back. Ever built a website and then felt overwhelmed by the thought of getting it online? Dealing with the servers, security and updates can feel like a full-time job. So what if I could skip all of that and get your website live in minutes? In this video, I'll show you the beginner secrets to effortless deployment, Azure App Service. So come, let's get started. So this video is part of the AZ-204 video series. We are building the MentorByKarthik app. That's a base app that we have based on the previous video. And we will see how we can get this online. And if you look at this, this is the one which I'm talking about. So we are going to see AZ-204 concept going forward. And in today's video, especially, we will be covering a few parts from here. The first thing is create an Azure App Service web app. You might have already seen a video about the app service, but for AZ-204, you should know a little bit deeper than what you know at the basic level, okay? Which is what we will deep dive into it today. Now, those who are new here, you can go to this link, GitHub repository, and the one that we are going to talk about today is this one. So we're going to take this web API, deploy to the Azure app, and see how this goes online, all right? Okay, so all what you need to know is to log into portal.azure.com. I already logged in. Viewers who are following my video will know how we get started with AZ-204. So if you're new, please go ahead and watch all of those videos. And if you want to know what videos were, you come to this website, go here. And if you look at this, all of the details video and the link has been published here. Alright, even before we get into this creating a service, let's first understand what is Azure App Service and see how we can relate it. Okay, this is one of the powerful cloud tool in Azure, and let me explain it now. So imagine you have created a website, in our case this website, okay, all the code, pictures and text files. Now you need a way for people all over the world to see it. So you can just save it to your desktop and expect it to be online. That is not going to happen. Right? That's where the Azure App Service web app comes in. Think of it as a special hosting service provided by the Microsoft. So instead of you having to buy and set up your own physical computer to run your website, Azure does all that for you. Here's what it gives you: a home for your website. It provides the space and the power for your website to live on the internet 24/7. And then there's built-in security. It handles a lot of security protection like firewalls, updates, and so you don't need to worry about them. And then easy deployment. You can get your website from your computer to the internet just in few clicks or commands. Scalability. Let's say if your website suddenly becomes popular and thousands of people visit it, Azure can automatically give it more power to handle the traffic. So it doesn't crash when traffic goes down. It scales back to save you money. Maintenance free. You don't have to worry about things like fixing the hardware, updating the operating system, or managing the physical servers. Microsoft handles all of that for you. In short, Azure App Service web app is a powerful and easy to use platform that lets you publish and run your website online without the hassle of managing the underlying infrastructure. If you did not get this, let me explain it in a very simple way. Think of building a website like baking a cake. Now you have got the recipe, which is your code, and the ingredients, your files. You have both. Now you need to sell your cake to the public. You can't just leave it on a table in the middle of the street. You need a dedicated, a professional space for someone to buy the cake, right? Now Azure App Service web app is like a state-of-art apartment complex, like just built for this website. Let's break it down. The apartment complex. This is Azure itself, a massive, secure and well-maintained building. Your apartment, which is your Azure App Service web app, is a dedicated, furnished space inside the complex where you can place your website, which is your cake. Now it has everything you need: electricity, power, plumbing, connection in the front door, a unique address for your apartment, right? Great. Unique address here, in the sense this is the unique address. The landlord, which is here the Microsoft. So the landlord takes care of everything for you. They handle the building security, which is like firewall, making sure the electricity is always on, which is called reliability, and clean and maintain the common areas, like for example server updates. You don't have to worry about any of these things. Now, renting versus owning. Instead of buying and building your own building from the ground up, like buying and managing your own servers, technically, you're simply renting an apartment. This is much faster, cheaper, and less work. Scaling. Let's imagine this. If your website becomes a hit and gets a lot of visitors, it's like a famous chef moving into your apartment complex. The landlord, which is Azure, automatically gives you a bigger kitchen or even an extra apartment to handle all of the new customers. So your cake shop, which is your website, never gets overwhelmed. When business slows down, they give you a smaller space, again to save you some money. So when you use Azure App Service Web App, you're not building a whole building. You're just renting a perfect managed apartment for your website. So you can focus entirely on your website content and features, not on the underlying infrastructure. I hope you get this. And now let's dive into the services. So come to this portal.azure.com, search for Web App. Okay, if you search for Web App, you will get something like this. Okay, so you can click Web App or Azure App Service. So let's go with Web App. So now see, it has taken us to a board where we have to fill up all of these things. So this is the difference. If you have seen this video, similar video in my channel or anywhere else, just for deployment is fine, but for AZ-204 you need to understand most of the concepts here. Okay, the very first basic thing is subscription. So we had created many subscription. If you remember, there are two dedicated subscription that we created. One is for this dev and one is for the production. So let's say we are going to use this. Okay, I'm going to click on this, and there is no resource group here. We already talked about resource group. That's logical grouping of one or more resources. Okay, so I need to create a resource group. So for resource group, let's have a meaningful name. I'm going to say RG-MentorByKarthik. That's the project name or application name, followed by the environment, followed by the location, the region, and then the feature. So RG-MentorByKarthik, dev environment, East US I'm going to deploy, and it is a web app. So that's why it's web. So I'm going to say okay, and here we can say mentored by, I'm going to give it a name like this. Okay, and if I unclick this, it is still a unique name, which is good. And here is what you need to understand. If you look at this, if you go to AZ-204 guide, and if you scroll down, we are here. We're talking about this one, but there are concepts that we need to cover that has to deploy the code as well as the containerized solution, where the Docker and Azure Container Registry will come into picture. Like we deploy our application as a container. Okay, so the reason why I'm showing this is this part, the way you create a web app depends on what you do. Like you say code or container. In this case, it's code. Let's choose the runtime, which is our app is 9, and Linux or Windows. A .NET Core app can run on both Linux or Windows, so really doesn't matter. Okay, but it's up to you, but both will run the way we are doing it. I'm going to choose Windows. Reason because the .NET Core application is generally speaking, it's Microsoft code, like it's from Microsoft. Windows is from Microsoft, so depends on what you choose, the cost will change. But in our case, though we are using the free service, everything is free, but generally speaking, if you are a developer focusing on company-wise development, you need to consider all of these things. Okay, Linux will cost different than the Windows because Microsoft owns the Windows, not the Linux, right? They need to pay the license key for the Linux to run. All right, so then you choose the region where it is getting deployed. Remember this. I'm sitting in US, or in other words, the business is in US. That's why I'm choosing this region. If you're doing it a business in India, I would choose India because the customers are mostly going to come from India. If you choose a different region, your code is sitting somewhere else, right? It will take more time to reach. But more than that, there are companies whose policy is like their data cannot be on a different region. For example, there's a company whose data has to be on US, not in other region. They can't choose something else. Can we prevent it? Yes. There are something called policies that can enforce even by mistake you don't choose a wrong region, which we will see down the line. But at the moment you understand region is important. Where your code is hosted is what the region is. Okay, the data center in the East US is where my code is going to get hosted. Now, Windows plan. If you look at this we can leave it the way it is, but here's the important thing. Pricing plan, right now it's going as standard one, $75, right? If I click on explore plan, you need to understand few things here. Again, let's go back here. You see this implementing auto scaling slots. Okay, so these are possible on a particular basis. If you come here, we are looking at this plan. At this plan, after you use this many resources, it will shut down by itself because it's free, right? And if you start using any other plan, they'll charge you monthly like this. But here is this plan. This plan is the one which is recommended for the production, for the real world application. Now, if you look at this, they will show you how many CPUs, like how many memory it is allowing to use. All of these are important. Okay, so understand based on the plan. This is called Azure App Service plan. So imagine this. These are nothing but 1 BHK, 2 BHK, 3 BHK, 1 BHK with furnished, 1 BHK without furnished, 3 BHK with furnished. Okay, so different options, right? If you compare with our analogy, that is what it is. Okay, so we will have a separate thing that we used to create S1 for going through these two concepts. Okay, but at the moment, to keep it free, I'm going to go with this one and say select. So this is selected. Zone redundancy. See, zone redundancy means can your code be redundant in multiple zone? Different zone means like completely separated from one region to other region, so that any disaster happens, nothing happens to your website. But for the free plan, it is not applicable. That's why it is disabled by itself. The moment you change to the higher plan, this is possible. But you should know these things because questions might come in these things. Okay. Now next is database. We're not going to create any database, so we skip this. Deployment. We can actually enable this, link to the GitHub account. We can deploy it, but I'm going to leave this as disabled because we will see separately how to disable it. Now pay attention here. Basic authentication is default disabled. Okay. If you enable it, you can actually use the FTP version to deploy your code. File transfer protocol, or right click on the project and you can actually deploy it. Okay, but again, let's leave this as disabled, and then next is, because that's not recommended. Okay, next is networking. Enable public access. If you turn it off, what will happen? This is not accessible over the internet. Okay, that's what it means. So we will turn it on, and you can see this is not applicable for us. Monitoring is where our application app insights will come, and not only that, that's also part of this one, like configuring and implementing diagnostic logging, extra logging stuff. All of those things will come into picture here. There is something specifically, see, implement application insights. See, instrument an app or service to use the application insights. So we will learn all of those things one by one. Okay, let's take a look at this one. So I am gonna enable the application size. At the moment I will say no. Okay, don't worry about it, but the reason why I'm showing this is you can either say yes or no, but let's say if you say no, you can create it later also. Okay, but maybe all right, and then we don't need to have any defender for the cloud. It's for protecting our website, but you should know what it is, but we don't need to use it. Okay, so tags are important. This tells you, see, tags are nothing but the name value pair that is categorized, and you can apply that for your multiple resource group, or even for segregating the billing. It will be very helpful. Okay, so let's have some meaningful tags created. Project, and here the project is name is this. Okay, so environment is dev. What else? Owner. This is really not required, but I'm just giving you an example how things works. And this is AZ-204, and I'm going to say yes. Department, we don't need module. Yeah, module, we can say it is API. Okay, so I'm going to give some proper namings. Cost center, I would say YouTube demo. Okay, and then review create. See this clearly. This is free SKU. They call it as SKU, and it's free. And this is also clearly says it is disabled, which is fine. That's the right way of doing it. Okay, let's create, and this will get created. After it gets created, we will see how to deploy it. Alright, see, when I initiated the create, I got this validation error message, but this you may not get it. I will tell you why I got it. Okay, what Azure is doing is, under a particular region is like East US, East US 2, Central Canada, anything, they are all called regions, right? They're saying, hey, with your learnsmartcoding@gmail.com, you already have a region called East US and you already have 10 websites. If you want more, choose a different region and you will be allowed. Again, if you're doing it new, you will never encounter this. I am encountering it only because of the set reason. What am I supposed to do? Okay, so what I did is I went to this basic, changed the region from East US to the West US. Okay, I'm still within US, but I changed this alone, nothing else. And I click create. See, again, this I'm doing only because it is not allowing me to do so. Alright, so West US 2 allowed me to create. Okay, so it's getting deployed. And while it is getting deployed, what we will do is we will see how this basic authentication, or like why you can't do it, like why you can't do immediate deployment from your code. Okay, because that's not the right way of doing. But let's say you wanted to quickly deploy this code. Okay, so come to this Visual Studio, and I have logged into my Learn Smart Coding. Remember that. Okay, you have to log into your stuff which is connected to the Azure. So if I say publish, right click on the API project, say publish, it will ask you what you're going to do. Okay, I'm saying, hey, I'm going to do it to the Azure. Next is Azure App Service Windows, right? So I choose this. Next. Now see, based on this login, it is finding out which subscription it is. See, our subscription is here. Under that subscription, okay, it is loading. There is one resource group and there is one thing. This is what we want, right? We don't want any of these things. We want this. Next, and let's go back. Next. And API management, you can skip this because we are not dealing with API management yet. Next, it is asking, can I set up the CI/CD or can I just publish? I want this configuration to be on a publish because again, this is only for quick demo. I say finish. Okay, a profile is getting created which will have all of this configuration that we just did. Now if you click on publish, it will publish the code from here to there, but it won't succeed, and you will gonna see why and how to fix it. See, the deployment is completed. Let's go to the resource. Okay, and let's see what we can do. So you click on this one. See, and here, right, those called new, this is called overview blade, and overview blade will have every other information here. See, which region, what is my subscription, what is the operating system, which is the the website that we are referring here. See, it's ready for deployment, right? The website is ready, and it will have all of this information. Most of the other things that are here, which we will see, troubleshoot, but at this moment, this is what it is. Okay, now let's go back to our code and say publish. See, now what it is trying to do is it is trying to connect to the Azure App Service, and it is going to publish it. Most likely, or I would say 100%, the basic authentication was disabled, so ideally it should fail, but I'm gonna explore this along with you and see what it happens. It's surprising for me as well that I think it's because I have the full privilege. I'm a global administrator. When I did this publish, it successfully published. Ideally, when you try to copy paste the code, it won't allow because the basic authentication is disabled. Okay, so good. This is for just quick thing, right? See what I did. I came here /swagger. See, our code is deployed. This is a basic thing. Alright, so in the next video, we will quickly see how we can deploy this using the CI/CD pipeline using the Azure GitHub Git action. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you have any questions, to let me know in the comment section. Subscribe to my channel and stay connected. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!